still.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get more in.
I hope that just right at the house and
Well, it's
same thing that I had.
we got lying in bed in the bloody balls. And I can't go to sleep.
Pikachu.
I'll play my music.
I don't know. I sent an email and I'm going to give 20 email back saying, oh, we don't need to profit
Right, just wait till everyone's seated.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yes. Good evening and happy New Year to everybody. Do we have any apologies?
Tony Fells on holiday and Alison Central is board.
Right, okay. Before we start, I'd just like to congratulate everybody who made the Christmas festivities such a success, particularly Rob Grace and Dick Maxim and Kevin Cuffley, who got the Christmas tree together, and also the sleigh from Scottsdale, which was worked very well actually doing on the street.
That's all down to Rob.
Yes, I did include Rob in here. That's actually good. Yes. So, okay, so we'll move into the public participation time. Any members of the public wish to speak?
Sorry, just passing the pen. While I was walking home last night, chance encounters. This is a general question, and I think it might roll into the neighbourhood deal thing. We've lost Barclays Bank years ago. Vindus are growing in a couple of years. Spicers have gone and hasn't been replaced. The ATM at the Cambridge Building Society hasn't been working a couple of days. There was rumours of them leaving, but I think that's just a refit. Woodheads have gone, Co-op gone before that. I was just wondering, is there anything that the parish council could do as a parish council to lobby for more business? I mean, generally, because I've tried reading the legislation and it's a bit unclear. As I know you can't set business rates and that sort of stuff, but I was wondering if there was part of the neighbourhood plan was going to be trying to get very, very, very inward investment, because it's not going downhill, but chip away, lots of things are going from the village, and I was just wondering, as opposed to planning and that sort of stuff, but whether there was some sort of business plan type idea.
I share your concern. I think it's the concern of a lot of people on this council, and also in the village in general. The problem is the powers we have are very limited, even through a neighbourhood plan. What a neighbourhood plan enables you to do is to set planning parameters. And so you can have policies in it, like for example, resisting changes of use on the high street. But that still doesn't get people in there. You can stop people from converting to residential.
I was just wondering if there was any soft influence with whatever bodies it could be. I'm all for subterfuge, if it's possible.
I think apart from trying to work with individual traders to try and persuade them to stay, there's not a huge amount we can do actually.
There's a possibility of doing a business development area, I believe, under a neighbourhood plan. And under there you can actually specify what you would like to appear and therefore express preferences. It's still fairly limited, but there's still a possibility that you could do something in a neighbourhood plan which would accentuate the viability or unique selling points perhaps of the village. So, for example, you could, in the neighbourhood plan, you could designate an area which was the high street and effectively take measures, if it was supported by the referendum of the neighbourhood plan, of redeveloping the high street so it was more attractive and therefore more likely to attract new business.
The high street was only part of it. I was kind of thinking slightly further out because the community food hub, which was a commercial deal, so it never went through to get the Woodhead to it because it's a local chap who runs that, friend of mine. It was more, if we bring businesses like whatever the Babram Road Business Park's called, there's a couple of tech companies down there and a couple have left. It's that sort of, but if there's any, to be more proactive to try and get business as opposed to just trying to keep ones but trying to get.
As district council level, this is something that Kieran and I have been pursuing. There is we do have a sort of business marketing policy in the whole of South Cambridgeshire. And obviously sites like Spices, which, as you know, were acquired on behalf of an American biotech company about a couple of years ago. We hear various things about it, which I can't already talk about in an open meeting. But yes, well,
there's publicly available information about Northwest Biotherapeutics.
Well, yes.
The company that they were due to have. For example, it's worth you going online and having a look at their share prices and looking at.
Well, just Google them is all I'll say.
It's very interesting reading
about the science of referential. Yes. Anyway, thank you. So that really is, it's something we're looking at. It's something we're trying, we're trying to pursue avenues on. As I say, our powers are fairly limited.
But I think it's also worth saying that, in the last 3 or 4 years, we've had several new businesses start.
Oh yes.
It isn't a terminal decline.
No.
Now I think you can, as Mark's done, you can put a number of circumstances together and paint a bad picture. But actually it could just be a blip.
Yes.
And the state of Barclays, the people to blame are Sainsbury's, who've just sat on their hands for years and years.
Of course.
Nothing that anybody's been able to say to them budges them, of course, because they're a big fat corporation who don't care. So I don't know what you do about situations like that. I would love to think that there's some kind of community pressure that we could bring to bear on companies like that. If you've got any ideas.
Not that I do, but I'm not saying them on camera.
Despite having now given it up, nothing's yet happened, has it? And I wouldn't be surprised if it took them another year to decide.
Well, I think without naming any names, it's safe to say that where business premises have been owned by local landlords, those are the ones where we see good turnover and new businesses being supported. And where business premises are not owned by local landlords, they're often the ones that are empty.
And with reference to Woodheads, for example, we know that there's a company destined, a video production company destined for that. So that's not even BMT, a very much longer we have. So that will represent another turnover that may appear to have taken a long time, but in commercial letting terms, it's not really that long.
Yes.
For a large building, I would call is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
Sure.
Thank you.
I was just going to ask a question on that one. Does actually Sainsbury's own the old Barclays site, or is it actually by somebody else?
It's owned by an offshore property company, and it's leased by Sainsbury's. I think their current lease runs till 2025. They don't have a freehold on it.
Oh, right. Okay. Just a
Sure.
Yes.
Peter Fane, I'm actually from Stapleford.
Yes.
We're, as you know very well, a neighbourhood plan in Stapleford, Shelford together. And we're currently conducting a consultation with businesses there to see what we can do in addition to what the district council are already doing to help them to thrive. Because for us, like for Sawston, it is crucial that we retain the businesses in the centre and also in the business parks that we have, as you do. And we're very keen to look at there may be areas where we may actually find ourselves almost in competition, but actually there are other areas where we might be able to collaborate with Sawston. And that's really my reason for coming tonight, is to learn what you're doing and to see what we could be doing better together.
Yes, I think that would be extremely helpful, actually. We would welcome.
We haven't got very far on the neighbourhood. That's why people are just mumbling about it. It's still at very, very early stages.
I was just going to say that we have got a piece of work to do over the coming year. We're about showing the neighbourhood plan, how we go about it, what we include in it. It's just, generally scoping it. I think it's probably the right word. So certainly collaborating with neighbouring villages would be part of that.
How far along is Stapleford?
We've done a lot of consultation. We've now got, if I may, Jim, we've now got the approval of the District Council Planning Committee, so it becomes a formal process. My own estimate is it will take us 2 years to complete. The previous chairman had a rather more ambitious deadline, but there's an awful lot of work to be done to prepare all the data and to consult widely. And one of the problems we're having is consulting with businesses, because understandably they're not sure that a neighbourhood plan can really add much to their value, and we have to persuade them of that. And I think, as Brian was mentioned, the business development area, we're looking at those sort of options to see whether we can help them more with problems with parking, for instance. Can we put time limits on the parking? That's principally for the parish council. But there are long-term options as well, including the nature of future development, how we incorporate businesses within future development. And there have been some very helpful precedents on that, where matters have gone to appeal and been determined in favour of the neighbourhood plan. And it's a really valuable instrument.
Yes, it is still quite a fluid area of planning laws, interface between local plans and neighbourhood plans, I'm sure you're aware.
Yes.
And I think it might be clarified by housing white paper, which comes out later this month, actually. Okay.
I'm afraid when thinking of writing a neighbourhood plan, there's an important meeting at South Cambs about writing policies for such a plan in February.
Yes, there is indeed.
There's been circulated to the parish councils.
Right. Are there any further questions before I move into the main part of the meeting? Thank you very much for your comments. Right, so do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Woodring.
Yes, it's 177 planning application S/0200/16/CC. It's an application by the County Council, so I'll take no part in that debate.
Are there any other declarations? I suppose I was to declare that I have actually sat on the liaison group, or I've attended meetings of the liaison group in the past. I don't consider that to represent a prejudicial interest, particularly as we don't appear to have plans for that.
I'll sat on the liaison group as well, so.
But I would not normally vote anyway to chair the planning committee. That's how it goes.
Mr Chairman, I know we ought to declare an interest in the agricultural buildings, but I don't know the people, but I do know the area.
Right.
Doesn't sound very
Very interest, no, I think, no. Okay. Anyway, that's registered. Right, so, are there any other declarations? No? Okay. Right, we move on to the minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of December. I'll go through those as usual, item by item. So starting on page 98, 146, 147.
I'd like to say something about the public participation time. The meeting displaced the agenda item on the gritting and replaced that with a visit by Roger Hickford from the County Council, which seems to be a bit superfluous, seeing as we have two parish councillors who were at the County Council meeting earlier in the day where the matter was discussed, and Tony Orgy gracefully mentioned me in dispatches that have been presented to the council petition in protest against the cuts to the gritting programme, and I just think I would like to have that noted in the minutes, please.
Yes.
Was that done as part of the parish, for all parish council? Was that done as
Well, it was a response to Roger Hickford's statement that he made on behalf of the, was it the County Council or the Conservative Party? I don't know.
It's on behalf of the County Council.
County Council decision, not.
Is there an election coming up this year?
Dangerous ground.
Yes.
Yes.
It's great. Please keep this meeting open.
Yes, so non-political related.
Okay, yes. So, Jenny.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not quite sure what the point is there, because I thought it was quite useful that he came.
Yes.
Because I think, you know, he was able to give us a bit more information about it all. And
What, more than Tony?
from what I remember, well, I just found it quite useful. So I'm not quite sure what the issue is. And I seem to remember we did ask some other questions about other issues to do.
Well, no, I think I'm probably agreeing with Ryan, given that there was probably quite a large cost of his time and the expenses and extra expenses involved in getting him. I'm not sure it was terribly necessary.
Well, I mean, anyway. Basically, is this? I mean, do we? Basically, the minutes are supposed to be an accurate record of what transpired.
So I spoke in response to budget.
Every single conversation
the
outcome of what happened at the meeting.
They aren't necessarily a summary. So I'm going to put this to the vote.
So what I'd like to do is just add a paragraph, short paragraph, 3 lines, that reflects the comments that Tony Aldry made in his own report to the parish council, please. Because if they're not made available to the general public, which they're not, we won't see that.
Well, the minutes do say 169 updated by the county council. See attached to these minutes, and I did say with electronic copies I could bring that to be circulated after the minutes. So what I said is inform them.
Yes. Right, so I think we should move on anyway. 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, page, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161.
Could we just clarify the name? I thought I brought this up at the time, Joe, but I'm pretty sure that they always used to be called Christchurch South Cams.
They are. Well, I thought they were as well.
Yeah, so unless they changed their name, they're called Christchurch South Cams. They're not based in Cambridge, and they meet in Sawston.
Yes, they do.
I think it looks a bit strange if they look like a Cambridge church that wants to come out here and run an Easter egg hunt for somebody else's.
I mean, I understood that as their name as well. So yes.
I'll check it.
So let me just check. Yes, okay. Thank you. 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, and 170. Is everyone happy there's an accurate record of that meeting? There is a... Okay, so can we take a vote on that, please? All those in agreement? Those against? And one abstention. Right, so there are some reserved matters minutes, which I'll take at the end of the meeting. So, accounts for the month of December, which have been circulated. Everyone's had a chance to go through these. Are there any questions anyone wishes to raise?
There's one amend on there, one of the apparently catch up there, 1,050, that was the previous meeting, so that needs to move in.
Yeah, it's okay then. So with that amendment, does everyone, do I have a proposer to accept those? Proposed, seconded. All those in agreement?
Sorry. Accounts.
Oh, the accounts.
Yeah,
if you look
Right, so that then moves us on to planning applications. And the first one we have here is S3467, to demolition of existing attached garage and construction of two-storey side extension. Thanks very much. Woodland Road, it's 3467.
Television's turned off. Right, no, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
If only these technical things would work.
Yes,
Here, throw this pen at it. You've been done by now.
No, I think it is important that the meeting sees the plans.
See whether we can actually get the technology working that was working just a month or two.
Yes.
I'll bring it out next month.
Oh dear.
Thankless role from IT support.
Indeed not.
This is my life.
Just sketch it with a cruel pen while we're waiting.
If you could remember the plans in detail, probably.
Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure.
Sure,
I'm afraid I'm just going to do a quick restart.
We don't do that.
I hope everybody's had a chance to read. I hope everybody's had a chance to look at these online. If we can, do you want to try again? Or?
Yeah, I'll try again.
Okay. Don't worry, we'll do more on time.
This is just too frequent, really, isn't it?
Well, that's what we like previous meeting.
No, it will work again, but just quite whether it's going to do it now. No, I think you'll have to carry on without me and I'll catch up.
Yes.
Well, I've got two of them. I've got the proposed and the existing. I just printed those out when I looked at it. I had two questions about it. Well, one was, am I right that there's a slight increase in the footprint for the building, as far as I can see, at where the playroom is back? Is that
There
right?
is slightly towards the
There's a
rear,
slight-
as I recall from.
Yeah, but otherwise.
I've seen these online. Yes.
Yeah, but otherwise it's kind of squaring off what's already been built. And my other question was, I assume there'll be no garage. There is at present a garage there, and that's going to be taken up by the playroom. I don't know what our views are. Maybe no garage.
Well, I think the committee would have to ask itself whether there's adequate parking on the site in the revised scheme.
Most of the houses on Woodland Road have quite big driveways, don't they? I think a number of people actually park cars inside garages.
And this is a high number on Woodland Road. Yes.
Yeah. So it's well, it's more than a single story. Yes, it's two-story. Yeah, so it's going to be quite a big extension. And I don't know, have we had any comments from neighbours at all? Presumably.
Joe?
Had any
No,
comments?
sorry, no.
No comments from
Not in terms
Computer says no.
So, yeah.
Computer still says no.
Colin, could you pass the
Okay, so it's demolition of existing attached garage and construction of two-storey side extension.
Yes, that's it.
And that's essentially what it's about. So the issue is whether there's any issues on light or whether it's overbearing or whether whether or an impact on streets.
Because at the time where the houses are separated by 2 driveways and 2 garages, so it's just going to be filling in some of that space. But I don't think it will even butt the next building.
Well, the next plot looks like the building is right up to the fence, so there could well be some. Whether that's an extension or not, I don't know. Is that out there to the right of it? So I don't know. Shall I raise a motion that we support?
You can. Yes, if you wish to propose that. Do I have a second on that? Yeah. So, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is one of the houses down at the bottom, the far end, the northern side of Woodland Road, and just before you come round the bend to the left and go towards Princess Drive, and those houses are set down lower than those on the other side of Woodland Road at that point. I can't see any objections to them.
Okay, so all those, it's been proposed that we have no objections to this application. Is everyone in agreement? Please indicate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Those against, those abstaining, and 2 no votes. Right, so S3412 to single-storey rear extension of 31 Church Road, Avenue.
Right, something on here. Here we are. Okay. So this is, single-storey rear extension. As far as I can see, it's part way across the back of the property. The garage remains where it is. Don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
And then there's the extension at the back, which has a sloping roof and windows in the roof. I was trying to remember when I looked at it what's actually going to be in that. I think what's happening there is that it's it extends the kitchen dining room.
It does, yes.
Yeah,
and also it's an internal rearrangement as well.
Yeah.
And then certainly scaling it off, it appeared to be about 2 metres out, so not huge.
No, it looks a fairly modest one. That's very standard.
I propose we support because there's not much.
Okay, right. Right.
Yeah, okay.
So, all those in favour?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Those against and those abstaining, and 2 no votes. So 3481, first of all, extension to the side and rear of 6 Crampton Terrace. And this, of course, is within the conservation area.
Yes, and when I haven't actually printed off what it's going to look like, but it looks like it's got an extension to the side which is set back a bit, and they've tried to replicate the gable that covers the front of the house, or the sort of loopy effect.
It's a second floor only extension.
That's right.
So it goes out and stilts over the side.
Yes, there's a stilted bit that goes over the path that goes over the side of the house. And then they're extending the first floor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about, because it looks as if that is going to be like an overhang.
It is an overhang.
Yes, but it's relatively narrow.
Yeah, it's
relatively unobtrusive.
Finishes in cedar weatherboarding.
So what it's going to result in is a new bedroom 3, which will be on top of the existing, or partly on top, be on top of the kitchen, and it will come out on the side where the overhang is. So the kitchen, the new bedroom 3, will be kind of L-shaped. As you can see.
It's actually a corridor leading to the bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah, although the door is further along.
Yes, but it has the effect of a corridor.
So it's in the conservation area, so I don't know whether...
Well, there's a useful set of photographs that were taken that is attached to the heritage statement. And it's relatively narrow and relatively unobtrusive, and I live across Mill Lane from there, and it wouldn't concern me that it's going to be particularly obtrusive or significant
Do we know
on the visual
why,
impact, certainly.
why it's been left as an overhang? and
Well,
not-
it was presumably to retain side access because it's a terrace, and if you block that off, there's no way of getting to work. You can get to the rear through Hammond's Road, but it's
The end
not
terrace.
around. Yes, yes,
You
yeah.
have to go through the house. Yeah.
Actually, is there a right of way along there? There is with some terraces. To the
Hammond Way or-
to the adjacent properties.
It's the adjacent property, not that I'm aware of.
No, I just wondered if you had any local knowledge.
I presume it's, I assume it's for their own access.
Yeah, okay.
To the garden.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, that's why it's been done to allow access to the rear. Okay.
I propose we support it.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? So all those in favour of support?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Those against? And those abstaining? And 2 no votes. So a single story rear extension, internal alterations at 3 Shamrock Close, 3491.
Okay, I just printed off one page, as I say, which is the proposed ground floor layout, so I could see where the extension actually is and the changes that are taking place. And there's 2 in the main. One is an internal restructuring, which is the loss of the garage, conversion into a playroom, and then there's an extension out of the rear beyond the kitchen dining room area to make a single large kitchen diner, and the additional bit at the back will be single story with a roof with 3 roof windows.
So it's not a very small extension. I'm surprised it didn't come under permitted development. But do you need permission to change garage into dwelling?
No, you don't. No. Well, anyway, it's an application for us, so it's,
On the basis it's relatively small, I mean, I suggest we support it.
so are you proposing it?
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder?
Yes, I
Yeah,
suspect.
I do, yes, mate. All those in favour of them, support. Abstentions? Sorry, again, I should ask. Abstentions? Okay. And 2 no votes.
Used to the format, yeah.
I'm only used to it. I'm going to put it in. Okay. Right, so proposed change use of agricultural building flexible B1 and B8 uses. B1 is, for those who are not familiar with the planning classes, is sort of office light industry. B8 is in storage distribution. Involving Edward's demolition, and this is the site on Deal Farm as you come into the village town Bridge Hill on the left-hand side. So,
I just want to see if other people say that.
Well, I had a look at all the documents online. It sounds like there's quite a lot of changes going on there. There's the widening of the entranceway, which, although it will help with safety and viewing in and out of the road, I wasn't quite sure how that would actually work in practice in terms of the attractiveness of it coming into the village. So there's that bit, the widening of the entranceway. They're going to demolish the existing barns and replace it with 4 commercial units. And the existing buildings are going to be relocated somewhere else, is that right?
Well, as I understood it, they're going to demolish the end units in order to allow access around to the back.
Right,
So if you get background, and the existing buildings require a considerable amount of modification because at the moment they're just open sheds, so in order to make them into units, they're going to have to put the front on. But I'm not sure they're removing them entirely, as I understood it was a conversion.
Yes, but it does say somewhere in the plans about relocation of of at least one of the bars, and I don't think I read anywhere where it said where it's going to be relocated to, but
Yes.
I don't know if that's a query or not.
Is this going to involve an increase in traffic in and out of the farm? Are they going to...
They have done a traffic survey. It doesn't show any significant increase on the traffic survey, but that's in answer to that question. It's not going to have, their claim is not going to have any major impact. But the question that I would like to be asking would be is, what would be the hours of trading? Because I think that would be quite significant if that's heavy lorries going in and out of there, and what direction they'll be going. So would like to know what time they'll be thinking of starting up in the morning.
It almost lends itself for a 24-hour operation.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I'm very worried about.
We need to stop it.
Yeah, and the other issue as well, I think that we need to be aware of is the flooding issue that's down there.
Well, they have already it is in the flooding area of Martin, which is
Yeah, but it floods already, doesn't it? We've got an issue where
there's the issue of drainage under.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that needs to be addressed as well.
I was a bit confused about the relevance of the traffic survey, because by the very fact that they're going to widen the entrance and they're going to make flexible use of the units to encourage business, implies there's going to be a growth in business and a growth in use.
Absolutely.
So I think your point is right in that there probably will be increased usage through the
It needs to be
entrance
quite
way.
constrictive.
And it may well be HGVs, heavy traffic,
Yes.
heavy traffic, and when you think that there is a lot of traffic that goes in and out of Sawston.
Well, I mean, there is a significant amount of HCV movement at the moment in relation to the grain storage
Why do you
operation
think it's
down
going
there.
to be heavy traffic if they're converting part of it into offices?
And storage, distribution.
Yes, I'm not convinced from the traffic survey that the amount of HCV usage was significantly increased. I mean, obviously there may be deliveries to the units, but the main HCV difference, as far as I can see, the HCV use, which is largely going on at the moment with the grain storage in there. I mean, would that be a fair comment? I mean, really got to know.
I've already had a photo of mine stopping them from using it. That's just going to be a warehouse.
Well,
I'm getting a photo of mine.
we had a vote on it. The enforcement officer was informed. The enforcement officer visited, and this application came forward.
In other words, they don't know what we say, they wouldn't pass it.
Not necessarily.
No.
No good.
Mr. Chairman, can I say the full story of that case?
Yes. But bear in mind that we're a public
Yeah.
meeting.
Sorry, we'd like to finish on time.
Well, I worked over that farm all for 30 years. I know it like the back of my hand. That building that's there in existence now, the new building, was built as an agricultural farm. And I said right from the start that was not an agricultural building. For the simple reason, that's too elaborate. For the first year, the produce of that farm and a little bit around it did go into that barn. That was only for the simple reason the floor hadn't sealed off, properly dried off and this, that and the other, so they had to be careful. The next year, so I had about HGV lorry drivers start early in the morning. There was lorries queuing halfway up Upper Gill by 5:30, waiting to go in there to deliver grain. It wasn't only from Cambridge way, it was from Sawston way as well. So that produce wasn't grown on that farm or any farms surrounding our area. It was stored from can grain, and if you look at can grain, it could be owned by Sainsbury's. So you've got to start to form a little circle. that year I should think they stored thousands of tons of grain in that barn. I mean, that is big enough to do it. After that was cleared out, the cleaners went in. They was in there a couple of days. And then electricians appeared quite a lot. And then for some unknown reason, we had half a Felixstowe dock lorries coming down there with containers, P&O containers, sea, land and all this, that and the other. And it was very secretive sort of business. Every time a lorry went in there, the gate was locked. When another one came, they couldn't get in because the gate was locked, so they all had to appear and undo one or another. And then it turns out, I made some inquiries, it turns out it's rice. Well, we don't grow rice in this country, so it certainly has nothing to do with that farm.
Yes, it was still fall within the permission though, from the agricultural storage.
I was going to say, I don't know whether the source of the material that's stored there is really relevant to the
debate. That was built for storage for stuff around that farm.
Well,
not from storage.
Unless there's a restriction that you probably wouldn't make.
I mean, there's a very specific restriction on it.
Yeah, just to get over that quite easily, right, they're storing food.
Yes.
So that answers that question. But the next thing is, rice has to have a certain atmosphere or a certain temperature to be stored.
The humidity.
Is it? And all of a sudden there was a slight humming noise coming from that area. Now you can't hear anything at ground level, but when you get in the building you can hear it, so it's just the way sound travels.
Yeah.
And it's got worse, and the only conclusion I can come to is the way these things, or this unit is positioned, the noise comes to the west. It comes out to the west. When the leaves was on the trees, it blocked it. Now the leaves are falling off, you get more noise, and that's 24/7. And you can take from me that is annoying.
Have you pointed this out to the South Wales Environmental Officer?
This is the first time I've seen it.
If there's a noise complaint, I think it should go to South Wales.
It's not a loud noise, it's just a noise that gets on.
It's an air conditioning unit, basically.
Well, I don't know what it is, because I don't feel like walking over there. I've never been over there for the last 5 years.
There was a permission for a small annex to house an atmospheric control unit on there. So I mean that's basically what it is. Okay, so you've heard the background.
If the building's got agricultural use, does that mean it's got 24 hours access?
Not necessarily, no.
So,
I mean, in the absence of any specific conditions, it would have, yes.
I mean, am I taking from Neil's suggestion his concern that if...
Well, I know the farmers do work overnight and things like that. That could be their get-out clause for why they want some 24-hour operation. Apart from if we're putting conditions on what the building can be stored for.
Or can we ask for conditions at the time of operation, so between 10 at night and 7 in the morning?
Well, yes, I mean, that's to relate to vehicle movements. I mean, obviously
not the operation of the farm.
Now, the noise that we're getting, when Richard January had it, he had a grain store down there, and he had a restriction that he couldn't dry after 11 o'clock at night. Now, the noise from that dryer wasn't as loud as what this noise is now.
Right, okay. So, I mean, we can certainly mention that and ask the environmental health officer to look at that. if you consider the noise to be intrusive.
And also, I mean, as first I've heard that the entrance may be moved further north. That brings it towards that walnut tree.
Right, yeah.
Years ago, there was talk of a roundabout being constructed there for an entrance to the village college.
I think that was long done.
That's long gone.
Yes, yeah.
But I think that was for the only simple reason it wasn't the right place to put a roundabout at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
And these lorries, when they enter that building site or farmyard, block the road because they're so long. No matter how wide the entrance is going to be, they have to swing all the way across the road to take up both carriageways.
I mean, they did, yes, and they did include tracking diagrams in the show how that could be achieved. Right, do you have any further comments?
Do we know that there is a company called Can Grain?
Yes. It has a larger installation at 6 Mile Crossing, which I'm surprised slightly they're doing drying there because there are, I think, about 30 huge drying silos.
There's no drying can grain down there, it's just storage.
I said storage, can grain is down near Linton.
Linton and Wilbur. That's where that might
And also, this morning, funnily enough, there was a van rolling in the farmyard looking for what buildings we wanted demolished to take the asbestos away.
Right.
But he rolled in the wrong farm.
So they're a farmer-owned cooperative. So they basically say on their website that members' crops are delivered to the site closest to the end market. So they're claiming it cuts down on its transport costs and food miles. Interesting.
So, does anyone wish to make a recommendation?
Well, I'm still concerned about the access to the site and the fact that if there is increased traffic, it could drive local traffic rather than accessing the village down Cambridge Road to the other access point, which would be, say, New Road or Mill Lane.
I mean, you would possibly put certainly put an advisory on that the traffic should come from the north end of the village along the bypass, well, along Cambridge Road from the bypass rather.
I suppose so. Yeah, maybe I'm not.
I mean that was done with the Durnford Farm Quarry.
And I think that would be useful.
Yes.
I suppose the point I'm making, and maybe I'm worrying unnecessarily, is that if there is increased use of the entranceway and the fact that it's been widened in case that there will be, then it could make it more difficult for people driving up and down Cambridge Road, and might mean people try to access the village from the other side and increase the traffic that way. And I don't know whether it's something
there is actually a weight restriction on the high street, so that shouldn't happen.
No, I think what Janet's talking about is whether additional traffic at the farm would make other people
local traffic
go to other
the alternative route. So yes, that's what I was trying to think of.
The difficulty about forcing all the traffic to go north is that it's fine for traffic coming into the site, but from out of the site, potentially people try to get at the point at which cars are coming down. At 30. They're coming down her pretty early to the village.
Yes. I think the main thing, Mr. Chairman, is do we need another industrial site on the end of the village?
I don't think we do.
Well,
that's all it's going to turn out to be.
Yes, need is not actually planning.
No, but we're also talking about encouraging businesses in Sawston as well.
As business and business.
So, well, that's the point. That's the problem in planning, there isn't business.
There's local people, because whoever goes in there is a lorry driver, and they won't live in there. They won't work in there.
Or people will work out Polish or something like that.
The B1 use is an employment use of any kind. The B1 use is an employment use, which is to office stroke Washington Street.
But all the people I know that work there,
Well, yes, but it's all private units.
they're not going to be actual local people.
Well, you don't know that.
What has that got to do?
You don't know that anyway.
Nationality?
Yes.
No, but they don't live here. They don't live here.
Well, they may live here. They may live here.
They don't.
Well,
I know where they
I don't
live.
think, well, yes, I'm not sure that's entirely relevant. I think we need to move on actually. So do we have any proposals?
But if we want to talk about this, we've got to talk about planning reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Are there any
Substantive
planning
reasons.
reasons
Exactly.
against this?
Yes.
And if there aren't, then we should support it, but we should support it with relevant conditions about hours of operation and traffic and so on.
I mean, don't we have a bit of a dichotomy that on the one hand we don't want it to be noisy outside working hours, but on the other hand, if there are going to be enormous lorries trying to pull in there, possibly blocking off the road, then it'd be much better if they were there out of the rush hour and out of the main business hours. I'm not quite sure how we work around those two factors.
Right.
I mean,
if for traffic congestion or movement wise, it would be better queuing at 5:30 in the morning and going in there relatively quietly.
And it's not a heavily residential area.
I was going to say on the noise front, it's not that far from Deal Farm to Woodland Road, Princess Drive. That bit, is it? It's not that far. So I suppose if you're talking about planning issues, my planning issues would be noise, which might be one. Another one would be this issue of the traffic.
You're not going to hear lorries really not that far.
It was surprising.
The only thing I've got maybe problem is with the cold spell and the sort of because we're not getting gritted very well, a lorry could turn and turn over there, and then that road could be blocked.
Well, I'm not sure. The risk assessment for the chances of the lorry turning over, then it's going to be pretty small.
The other issue is as well the traffic movements generally during the day. After the peak rush hour, say 9 o'clock and up to about 4 o'clock, the traffic movement up and down that road is actually quite light.
Yeah, but the lorries.
So the lorry going, so coming back to Brian's point about a lorry being there needing to be there for 5:30, they could actually get up and down there quite comfortably during the day without impeding on anything. The only traffic you can have there is the school run. Which is a cycleway, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, if you were asking for a noise restriction, I would certainly consider limiting the use of reversing alarms because they are extremely dangerous.
I believe what Brian said is that no should work from sort of like 10 till 7.
Yeah, but I mean, by that token, can I get planning restrictions on the post office and the spa from delivering earlier than 10 o'clock High Street?
Unfortunately, that's not before us this evening.
That's an existing condition.
Might be able to build it.
No, but I mention it for contrast.
If there's a lot of traffic on that cycle path to and from the school, could we raise that as an issue, that it would be good if they were able to avoid the school run? I know we go to school at William Wesley in Whittleston, and on the way from Sawston to William Wesley School, the thing between the school and the river next to Hamilton Kerr is a place where lorries go to get weighed. So we've always got gigantic lorries coming there, often reversing, in front of primary age school children, and that always seems a really bad combination. So if we have I guess we've got older children here, haven't we?
Yeah, also if they're turning in and out of the site, they shouldn't impinge on the cycleway. On the other side of the road, is it?
Have I got my road reversed? Yeah, on the other side of the road. Well, that's good then.
You can see there.
I'm thinking about upside down.
That's the entrance.
And also, I think I'm the only one who had a letter concerning this building. The other nearby neighbours who it would affect, because the building would be behind those houses there. You've got bungalows coming further up Cambridge Road. The buildings shoot at, so it's stand still. The only place they can extend the building is behind that house there. You've then got the electricity substation wanting another down this side. So the noise is all going to affect those bungalows. Because it's going to be moved nearer to them. They must have known there was something happening there because that building's got an earth bank all the way around it. How often do you find an earth bank around buildings?
So I think we need to come to a resolution on this. So you have three options before you really, which is either to approve it, or to recommend refusal, or to recommend approval with conditions.
I think approval with conditions, at least we control it that way.
Yes.
Yes, I'll second.
Right, so tell me what conditions.
Which conditions do you want?
You have a weight restriction through the village, so they always can't come through the village.
Well, there is a restriction.
Make them aware of it.
Right, so traffic to come from the north end of the village, not bypass, not through the village.
Yeah.
Tick.
Do we want to strict the hours and like 8 till 6?
Hours working.
Hours of working.
Well, do we want to do that, or do we want to make sure that the biggest deliveries are not the biggest?
I mean, I think you need to be a bit clearer about what hours of working. Are you talking about hours during which vehicles can enter or leave the site, which is not the same as hours of working?
Both.
And
why so?
Well, hours for vehicles, no.
It's not.
I would make a suggestion that you put a condition that the vehicles can't enter the site until 7 o'clock in the morning, and then there can be no more movement after 9 o'clock at night, which is what Brian said. I don't see a problem with that.
But if there's the lorries are coming first thing in the morning at the moment and not causing any problems in the village, if we make them not turn up until 7 in the morning, that's peak.
That's going to create no end.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say that we don't have any restrictions on vehicles, but we do have restrictions on working hours in the units.
Right, hold on, no restrictions on vehicles.
Yeah, but then gates are going to be locked. The lorries are not going to be able to get in there. If they do come early, they're going to be sitting on that ridge hill all the way down there.
But we're not. But it's not causing a problem, is it?
I wouldn't get that parking on the road.
So you're saying that that's happening now?
I think we've got two alternative suggestions. We've got some people who are suggesting that we do restrict the hours that lorries can go there. We've got some people who are suggesting that we don't because it's working okay at the moment, and in fact they are using early mornings, and we create problems if we stop them doing that. So I think that
at the moment it's minimal, and like Janet pointed out, the issue is this is growth. You're looking at a much larger turnaround of heavy goods vehicles. So
that's not what the application says.
Well, I think you're probably more likely to see a significant increase in cars and small vehicles, actually.
If it's going to be turned into industrial units or offices, you would like to see exactly that. Cars.
But what we've done was the possibility of reversing
delivery vans,
alarms
at any time. Is it 24 hours?
Yes, so we
want to make sure that doesn't
condition that.
Yeah, well, in actual fact, though, the beeping noise is something that's not continuous.
Yes.
No, it's not.
We 24 hours a day during the winter. Well, I mean, within another 6 weeks or so. And we took the beeper off of our vehicle so that it doesn't beep at all at any time. I know it might be illegal, but it doesn't disturb any of the neighbours down Cambridge Road.
So, do we want to propose a restriction that says no beeping on vehicles during antisocial hours? No, they've got to have them during hours when people are around.
So they've got to use
There are safety
Absolutely can't regulate that.
I have no idea. But people have suggested that, so I've seen people think that you can.
I think that's something you could put in there.
So no vehicle reversing noise during
antisocial hours, whatever you said that was, 11 p.m. till 7 a.m.
Yeah, you can't stop that because it's automatic. So you go in reverse gear, it comes on.
You've got to cut wires to it.
Well, you can suggest it as a condition, I think. That would be perfect.
Right, so no vehicle reversing noise between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And have we already said we want to avoid traffic through the village?
Right, so the traffic should come from the north end of the village on one past not through.
There is a weight restriction already, which
We'll still reiterate it anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
No vehicle reversing noise between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m.
you can put on
Anything else?
you can put a suggested traffic route on as an informative.
Yeah.
I don't think you can condition it, you can put it on as an informative.
Are we looking at 5 or 7 days?
Because doing it farmhouse condition, and no
I thought that was an
dollars there would go.
I thought that was an informative, actually. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, well, yes. I mean, you could ask for this condition.
For what size?
Yes.
That's for what's conditions?
There's a traffic accesses to the road.
Oh yeah,
side.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think.
Are you proposing all that, Neil?
I think we're looking at 5 days, Monday to Friday, or Saturdays and Sundays included.
Well, Saturdays will
There's 7 days.
Yeah.
I would have thought so.
7
yeah.
days.
We ought to be restricted in some way to stop growth.
What's the growth?
In case they expand it, I'm always suspicious.
Well, they'd have to have further permission.
But as Beck pointed out, Mr. Chairman, earlier, we were just, and the question from at the start was about what we can do to encourage business. And at the same meeting, we're now complaining that a business is talking about growing and we're objecting. I mean,
I'm not saying that. I'm not stopping the business.
We have a proposal, we have a set of conditions. Does anyone want to add any additional conditions, or should we move on now to the vote?
Regarding the office hours, are we happy with the office hours as they are? Because that could be 24 hours office hours up there. So are we going to put a condition on the office hours that they can...
How is it going to disturb anyone?
Car movement going up and down the...
Car movements going...
Car movement will go up and down the village, but you don't want the same restriction on the car
Well,
movement.
if they've got somebody working overnight, they're going to have 2 or 3 people at most. And that road is deserted. I mean, I come back from Cambridge at 11 or 12 p.m. and there's no traffic on that road whatsoever.
I was just going to say, I think we ought to be kind of mindful of the fact that if it's going to be flexible usage, flexible site, it's flexible development. So the businesses that will be there will be flexible as well. And we don't know at the moment what it's going to be. It's going to be completely, presumably, up to the owners of the site. What sort of businesses are there? There's nothing we can do to put in any further restrictions. My vision of it would be that there will be increased traffic. There will be of whatever sort. I don't know whether it be large vehicles or small. There will be increased traffic, and I'm still not clear about what other restrictions can be put on other than the ones that have been mentioned so far.
But at least it's on the edge of the village. It's going to be much less intrusive than all the enormous delivery lorries that come to Budgeons and vendors and their car transporters.
Right, so...
So Neil and Beck, you're both happy with the reverse?
Okay.
So just
the other thing is that nothing that is done on site should prejudice the drainage that we
on the drainage, Tony, we put on the first plan that they should dispose of that water into the ditch, and it was ignored.
Okay, but we'll make sure that we put something relevant into this.
Yeah, but that's more or less been bartered already. That if this plan goes ahead, they will take the water off the road into their gullies.
Yeah.
So it's more or less being passed in any case.
Right, so I'm now going to move to the vote. All those in favour of this proposal with the suggested conditions, please indicate now.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
And those against.
hold on, I'm not looking. 1, 2, 3.
And those abstaining?
No vote.
And no vote.
3 and 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, so yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, but
Did you get you?
Yeah.
Right, so the long-awaited application for the community for the Sawston Parish Market Centre.
Can we have a small cheer?
It's finally before us.
Gentlemen.
Sorry?
Can we have a small cheer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that
2 cheers.
The thing is, Brian, that noise doesn't affect you in any way. You're afraid of bloody wheelbarrows at the back of the post office.
Should we move on? So we're looking at 0200, which is county council.
Can I propose that we recommend going ahead with it?
Right,
there you go.
I've been looking at the plans, and I think the internal plan is very much as it has been for many months.
Indeed, yes.
They seem to have gone into it all very thoroughly.
I mean, I would like to add that we welcome this application.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Are you able to actually get plans up on there?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yes, they're not.
Because
Well,
I
They're on the county council side. If you
This is the
follow the-
council side.
I followed the link, so there's a
they're all on.
separate plan that you can print out, and there's also a whole plan.
Could you show us the current floor plan?
if you could show
Two copies here if you want to pass them around.
Proposed.
Yeah, vote.
It's the penultimate one.
Yes.
Thanks, Jason.
Cheers.
The proposal.
Proposed site and ground floor plan.
This is actually what we're discussing.
What's it look like? What's it look like?
Oh, let Janet have a look.
If you minus on that one, that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Might be. Oh,
All right, okay.
it's just a similar fact. Oh,
Right, so the link between the Marlin Centre and the community hub is still there, yes, yeah. Okay, that's just what I wanted to see.
Right.
I mean, yes, okay, so always.
Can I just ask a couple of questions? The bit at the front, the car park, is that going to be dedicated to the community centre car park? Because at the moment it's used as a drop-off point by parents.
I think it was also going to contain disabled property as well.
Yes.
I think yes.
The plan just says one disabled disability access compliant car park space to be used for the new community hub, so I think it's...
They're on the left-hand side of the front.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So it doesn't indicate that any of the other spaces are dedicated to the community hub.
But you've got the car parking spaces just round the corner under the tunnels.
Yes, I think they've managed to reallocate some teaching spaces from the college, haven't they? And they were very keen to provide more car parking spaces because they recognised it's going to be a problem. And they had hoped that we might be able to sell them a bit of land from Spices, which we couldn't because there's a protective thingy that goes around it, which means we're not allowed to do anything.
Okay, so you've seen the plans for you, and as I said, it's been a long time coming, but now it's here, and it's very good to see it. So those in favour of that recommendation of approval?
This is the county council, isn't it?
Oh yes, so I can vote.
That's nice.
Can we vote this time, David?
Yeah.
Okay, those against, those abstaining. One abstention. Sorry, 2 abstentions.
Yes, I just haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay.
And not voting for me, but I will obviously make my own separate use spouse, which will be just fully supported.
Don't be determined.
Oh, yeah, no, I should have said it. Right at the start.
Pass it round to Tony.
The Gail, I'm sure Gail will support it as well, but she's actually broken her hip and so
I'm sorry.
broken her hip.
But send her best wishes and for a record for you. Right, so moving on to 3628, which is a tree works application. It's a beech tree which was inspected by Ian Norman, who is the South Cambridge Trees Officer, and it was found that it had wood decay fungus, which is rendering the tree unsafe.
And I propose that we support that.
Yes.
Can I, sorry, the tree replacement, Fastigiata Costa.
That's one that Ian.
Oh, it's actually a type. I think it's corrected in his letter. It's actually a type of oak, so it's Quercus fasciculus. I think. I looked through the details on the website. It's not as weird as it sounds.
Yeah, it grows to 15 metres high.
This is one that Ian's recommended. Yeah.
And it was recommended by the tree
officer. They've asked which one to replace it.
Yeah,
that's what he told us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay.
This is quite a substantial tree, isn't
Is that
it?
because over in the hanging ocean of the car park?
I know, I was taking photographs of this autumn because it's really beautiful.
Which is why he wanted it replaced with a big tree.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's quite a feature when you come in that.
No, I think I would have been querying it if there'd been anybody with the trees officer, but they of all people have no sort of vested interest in condemning trees.
Yes.
We did have a tree come down there in February, as you know, on the other side of the road.
Yes.
So all those in favour?
Oh, unanimous.
Thank you.
Right, so moving on to agenda item 178, Speedwash Initiative update.
Speedwatch, we now got Christmas out of the way, which that we haven't done an awful lot, but we have done a lot of preparation work, as you're aware. I did meet with Heidi Allen on Saturday at her surgery, so we have the full support of her. Also, what I've done is also set up a website. I've also written. Oh, you want help? No, hang on.
Sorry, I restarted the machine. I was just going to
right, okay.
read the website.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Thanks, okay.
I have an ask, which will go for the Sawston scene by Friday. So that will go in there. Also, we're looking at funding, aren't we?
Yes.
So we're looking at that. What I also need to do is to formalise. At the moment, the group is sort of a bit woolly, so I need to formalise who's part of the group. That is what we've set up. Sawston Parish Matters Speedwatch Initiative. So that's there. It's got a Facebook page, got a Twitter account, it's got all that stuff, and it's got some links at the bottom which will go to the documents that you've already seen, plus another one, with some pretty pictures as well. So the idea now is to move forward with it from this point onwards.
Yeah. So I think, my suggestion for what it's worth is that you do one or two operations using borrowed equipment, which is available. And, then we put in a grant. I think there's various sources of funding available. I mean, parish council is obviously here as a stop, as a backstop, but it might also be worthwhile putting into the Peace and Crime Commissioners Fund, which is available for such projects.
So on that, I did speak to Jason Applewhite about your initiative, and he was quite supportive of it. The issue that you have with it is you have a very small window of getting your application in for a grant. Basically, you're looking at probably up to the end of February, so you could have something up and running by then. What they will need is basically a contact point. Somebody's going to run it, somebody's going to organise it, and that person will take the lead, and take it from there. But he was very, very supportive.
So that's where we are at the moment. Really, I just need to formalise everything and make sure I have got everybody on board.
Oh yes, well, I think it's important to us, and Congratulations for your... Yes, sorry, I had to suspend standing orders to allow gentlemen back to speak.
Apologies for butting in.
Sorry. Are we on agreement?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Okay.
Sorry for butting in. We did mention in the December meeting that the sign had been hit by a high-sided vehicle, which was rectified, but it's now been hit again.
Right.
It's rotating as we speak.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out. We can authority. Okay. Was there anything else?
No.
Okay. In that case, can we reinstate standing orders?
Chairman, I think it's at your discretion now, isn't it? I thought we dispensed with the requirement.
I understood it was just
the 15.
Anyway, we've done it now.
Can I ask for one clarification further to what we talked about last month? There was this discussion about the feeling that there were sections of the high street where there was a different speed limit in different directions.
There is, certainly. Actually, both ends of the village, there's, you look at the road, one was 30 and one was 20. Sort of the Greyhound end, it's not so bad, but down the Blackball end, it's because actually you've got your narrow roads there and your narrow pavements. And also you sort of get to just at the Blackball, you can then speed up to 30 miles an hour, then you've got to slow down again, haven't you? Because you've got that.
Well, I think we need to go. I've been looking at it again, and I can't see that that is the case. The 20 minutes starts at the Black Bull.
I mean, I think,
going into Sawston.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was suggested was that the speed watch collect evidence, and we might look at the wider issue of 20 mile an hour speed limits to include roads off the high street as well. But I mean that. Once there was an evidence base, I think the speed watch group, that would be much easier.
Once there was evidence, that would be
that wasn't the point I was making. It was about whether there is a point at which there are speed limits in different directions. There are different speed limits in different directions. There are not. That's the point I was making. Because the 30 limit going out to going south starts at the Black Bull as well. On the left hand side, outside the old telephone exchange, is the 30 sign.
50 yards before that, you told us 20.
Yeah, there's a 30 mile an hour sign, which to my mind completely logically applies to Shingo Lane only.
Yeah, but that's turning off now.
That's consistent.
It is consistent, but
reducing the speed on roads where adjacent roads are unnatural speed limits, for example. So we get that occurring all over the place now, where you go from a major road to a minor road, and the speed limit increases. So that's just consistent with that.
I mean, if you can drive up Shingo Lane at 30 miles an hour, Jeremy Clarkson's under threat, I'm afraid.
Yes, very much so.
There are wider aspects that we need to look at, I think, as opposed to, why do we start speeding up when we get into St Mary's Road? Why do we...
Yes, I think if we're going to raise inconsistencies, we're going to have to document very carefully.
Well, I think, I think we have to work from the evidence base as well, which, Okay, so, is there any other questions for Colin? I just thank you very much for getting this underway, and sure I think members will agree with me that the Parish Council are very happy to support your efforts and your colleagues. Thank you. Okay, so we received a letter from Heidi Adam as agenda item 179 concerning the bus services, which she has asked us for feedback.
It's in your portfolio.
Yes, I know, it's actually here. And yes, I know, I've seen it anyway. So do we wish to make any points as a parish council? I mean, I'll make individual points, my own personal points to it. I think it might be helpful if the parish council had any points they wish to make on the quality of the bus service.
Are you still correlating the bus?
I've had very few complaints since the timetable was altered at the beginning of last year, but that was done at a price, and I think this is one of the points we need to make to Heidi. I mean, with your agreement, that was achieved by extending the journey time effectively by just short of 10 minutes. So it now takes 52 minutes to cover 7 miles from Sawston to central Cambridge, and that makes the service deeply unattractive, I think, for anyone who's in a hurry or on schedule, because you can virtually effectively halve that time if you're without time to walk down to the bus stop by using Trumpington Park and Ride service, which puts more traffic on the road between Sawston and Trumpington. So, I mean, that's a point which I made on a number of occasions to county officers, not with a great deal, and also to Andy Cameron.
Well, that's several distinct points that we can make, that the journey time is such that it's impractical because it's too long a journey time. It uses lots of very, very congested roads, so that at busy times the journey times are ridiculous. The fares are really quite high. I think we've highlighted before the fact that there's a big jump in fares between Stapleford and Sawston. I'd also like to flag that there's no connection at all that I can see between rail services and from Sawston to rail services from Whipplesford.
No.
Which seems silly.
Well, that was supposed to be remedied by the 7A. I mean, that was one of the justifications of that service when it was introduced. But it's not just the City 7 service. I mean, if one wishes to come out of the 7A, because it's certainly, it's not a service I've used myself because it doesn't go where I normally go. But having seen it going past on a number of occasions, it seems to me extremely underused. I mean, I don't know whether Tony would like to comment on that because I wasn't using myself.
It's almost the exception on this year, to be honest. A lot of the time you see completely empty time.
Well, that concerns me because the route was worked out after a series of consultations and local meetings. Yes, everybody seemed to be on board, and this service was started. The route was modified in order to try and increase usage, and. We've all seen it going past virtually empty.
So why does Paddy want to take separate representation versus when we've got all this work being done by the City deal, which is surely addressing the same issues? I don't mind that she's asking particularly, but it just seems to me that they're covering the same issues, aren't they?
I think that regarding the City deal issue is, I agree with exactly what you're saying. They are covering the same issue, but it could be a case of if Heidi applies her concerns with it may govern the way the thinking of the City deal. Because at the moment they're looking at the City deal are looking for any input whatsoever to help any improvement. So
there's all these issues about multimodal transport and creating transport hubs where you can swap from train to bus, for example, that you just described. So that for us to sit in a meeting here to give a full response to Heidi doesn't seem very
I'm not suggesting a succinct response. I mean, my question is, what exactly is Heidi Allen going to get done about it? And my answer is probably very little, but it's worth just making a few salient points. I wouldn't send her a long rambling rant about everything that's wrong with state public transport, but we could give her a few pointers to the problems of the local service, which are particular to the geography. The route to the City Sevens is particularly silly, and that's why I want to raise that.
I think there are several levels being tackled this on. I mean, you're right in the sense that the high-level strategic ones which are being dealt with which are being tackled by the City deal, but there are also significant operational issues, I think, relating to City 7. And I think Bex raised the issue about the route. That was introduced because people wanted a direct route to Addenbrooke's and Cambridge railway station. It's been pointed out that could be provided rather more rapidly by running either through Shelford directly onto the 1307. That option was put to Andy Campbell at a public meeting we held about a year ago, last October, and he effectively dismissed it on the grounds that it was suggested that even if they just ran one of the three services an hour along that faster route, it would be an improvement, which he rejected on the grounds that passengers would find it confusing, which I found somewhat patronising, I think, actually.
Oh yeah, well that's not a big surprise, is it? The other thing that would be useful to raise, sorry Janet, is that we used to have a National Express coach service into London called the 010 that went early enough for commuters to get in and came back late enough for commuters to get back, and that was cancelled when some kind of subsidy for coaches was removed. But it provided a very cheap way for people to get to low-paid or part-time jobs in London, which no longer exists because you'd have to get to Trumpington and get the London service from there, and either the buses don't go early enough to make it practical, or the combined costs make it unfeasible.
There used to be a lot of people who used that.
Yes, and they didn't count us. They said nobody used it, and it was because we didn't buy daily tickets. We all had sort of multi-ride tickets because they were a fantastic value. But they didn't count us in their stats.
And it was also because there was no distinction on their system between Cambridge and Trumpington,
their system was so rubbish that they had no decent statistics.
Yes, exactly.
Statistics, it was all nonsense.
So Janet.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I do actually use bus services, and I've got a lot of comments on this point, and that was one of the reasons why I thought that it might be useful to send some kind of response from the parish council because it would carry more weight. Heidi Allen has obviously picked up that this is a big issue. She talks about having had lots of emails, much of the feedback's been negative, poor service, delays, cancellations, lack of information, poor value for money, because don't mistake it, we're paying for this service, whether we use it or not. We're paying for it and we're getting a poor service. And the sort of issues are everything from, how it's all organised, the lack of linkage between services, the fact that you can't easily change buses, so it's a whole thing about how it's designed, which links into the City deal. But there's also the minor issues about the fact that even now we still have routes being cancelled or cut. There's all the stuff in the paper about the number 26 route down the A10, which is like a chicken and egg route issue because people don't use it because it's not very frequent, and therefore the operators say, well, no one's using it, so we'll cut it. So it's like a chicken and egg. And then you've got the issues of customer relations, the fact that the drivers are just bad-tempered, gruff, impolite, don't know about the route they're running in most cases. If you actually ask them where they stop, they don't know. It's the timekeeping of the buses, it's cleanliness, it's how they treat the elderly and the disabled, connections to the station you've just mentioned, the timing, the fact that there's no service in the evenings is really difficult. Overcrowding on the park and ride, it's not just the number 7, it's other services. I mean, the park and ride just gets so overcrowded, it's really unsafe. Cutting of bus routes I've mentioned, so that's my not having the heating on. So I can write a letter with all of that. I'm quite happy to.
I would add to that the total uselessness, the so-called real-time indicators.
Yes.
I feel particularly bitter about that because this parish council was persuaded to part with something in the order of 6,000 in order to provide 3 extra ones, which will ensure we were incremental bus usage. And as they operate at the moment, they seem to be very little more than a £2,000 replacement for a laminated sheet of A4 tied to the bus stop.
Well, if we think that we miss some of those, which it does rather look like, then we should make a stink about it.
Well, I will raise this with Andy Campbell, and he keeps coming out with these obscure technical arguments about the Cambridge sector station.
Unlikely to understand the technical issues.
He claims he can't get GPS to work properly in this area. Well, I don't understand why, if it works adequately in central London, or we have instructions from high buildings, so that they can't be made to work in Cambridge.
Well, and nobody else's sat-nav would ever work.
No, exactly.
Could we not just ask for them to be fixed or get on
Sorry?
Yeah, well, I've used buses pretty extensively, and I think you've got to be fair. I mean, there are some things, some really genuine, serious criticisms about the bus companies and how they operate. But on the other hand, they're not miracle workers, and if they're in traffic jam, they can't get out of it. I've been I've called the bus in the past at the Catholic Church to get to a meeting in Sawston Parish College. And it's taken an hour and 20 minutes. Because it's been caught in traffic down Hills Road, all the way down Hills Road, round the hospital, into Long Road, it's called in Long Road, then it's called in Trumpington. And there's nothing the bus driver can do about that. And the other times of day, of course, in the middle of the day, of course the buses can sail through and keep to the timetable.
But isn't that partly a consequence of the way in which routes are arranged?
No, I think what we ought to do, if you think about what are the potential ways forward, what we ought to be pressing for is to go back to Andy and say, look, what about revising the route? Because if you want any Avonbrook access road, that would cut Trumpington, it would cut out Long Road, and get into the hospital close pretty quickly. Anyone who goes from Sawston to Long Road, well, Long Road is situated pretty close to the stops in Avonbrook, so it doesn't disenfranchise anybody. It still serves Avonbrook, it still serves Long Road. So it serves the three main points where people actually want to get to.
When you recall, we raised that at the public meetings, responsible to need to provide a service to Trumping and High Street. Which I don't understand because there are alternatives.
We make an issue of it.
Yes, and also that can easily be addressed without significantly delaying the park and ride service by stopping it by the shell garage.
And also, the bus companies don't seem to understand the basic economics of supply and demand. Because if they keep putting up the price, the demand will drop. And the economic viability or substitutability of going, particularly as a family, by car and park and ride, or even, for a short trip, car. And driving into so until we address those basic issues, and I know it's difficult for the county council because they're subsidising many of these routes anyway, and yet the prices are still going up, and therefore make the problem worse rather than better.
Well, the only one we subsidise definitely is the 7A. I mean, the 7 is a commercial service. But I mean, one of the things you mentioned about the 26, the 26 runs along from Royston to Cambridge. Fine, but it's in competition with the road.
It is, yes.
The 7A, when we were having the discussions about the 7A, one of the meetings we had somebody from Network Rail there, and there was a person there and said, well, I'd use the rail, but it's more expensive. He said, well, it's actually cheaper than the bus.
It is, yes.
It's cheaper because to Cambridge Station, it's cheaper by rail than by bus.
And it takes 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half, which is amazing. Yes, I know.
Really? Yeah. I was going to mention that. I won't mention it now because I'll give Joe the details. We have a Shelford and Whittlesford Station rail user group starting on the 2nd of February, I think it's first meeting. So I'll let me help. So we'll go into that mix.
Thank you. So the list I have here of fares, particularly the fare structure. I think as much as I agree with you totally about the high cost of travel, but part of the problem is the way in which fares are structured. Because once you're at Sawston, you have to buy a day rider. I mean, a day rider will take you to Peterborough and beyond, or day rider plus. For that length of journey, I mean, it's brilliant value. But if most people just want to go in and out of Cambridge, basically.
It's the same charge from Saffron Walden to Cambridge. It's from Sawston to Cambridge.
Yes, well, I mean, when my daughter lived at Sutton, I mean, my wife could go by bus all the way up to Sutton for the same as it cost to go to Cambridge.
So to be specific, it's the fact you have to buy a day rider plus rather than a day rider travelling from Sawston to Cambridge. The day rider takes you as far as Staple.
Yes, it does. Yes, yeah. So the fares issue, the connection to Whittlesford Station, generally interlinking with rail and other bus services. Okay. So you're volunteering to do that.
I propose that we vote in support of all the different things that we have done. We cut to the chase because it's unlikely that Heidi Allen's going to achieve anything, I think, and it doesn't sound as though anybody ever gets the CEO of Stokeridge to do anything, but that's just...
The point we need to make about timetables is that, in a sense, to help timetable, we need to do something about congestion.
Yes.
Because without doing that, it doesn't matter what we say. How clean the bus are, how pleasant the drivers are, etc., etc. Without tackling congestion, we're still in the same.
But it is a chicken and egg, you know, because if people think the buses are inconvenient and they'll get in their car, then that increases congestion. So you can't address one without improving the other.
I keep referring to the all-in tram system I visited 2 years ago. And why does it work? Partly because each journey is €1.80.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I've seen similar.
We've got some of the most expensive public transport in Europe.
They keep the prices down.
I know.
They've got priority on the road, on the routes, so they don't get stuck. And it's not rocket science, and but we seem.
But you've got to be serious about public transport if you're going to make it usable, and we haven't been. It's partly because politicians don't use it.
But I think that so we've had a proposal.
Yeah, Janice said it.
And Janice very kindly agreed to draft a letter for us. So all those in favour of sending such a letter, please indicate. I think that should.
Let's not make it too long.
So who would like to go to Buckingham Palace?
So is this a nomination for parish council?
It's a parish councillor, which is across the whole of Cambridgeshire.
It's the chairman, isn't it?
I thought the letter said it's somebody who's served in the past rather than current.
I've been to 1 year's past, that's been half the way,
Invitations are in recognition of past service as chairman of parish council town mayors in England, and it's therefore appropriate that outgoing members rather than those newly elected should be invited to attend. Guests should not previously attended the party.
I suggest we pass on that then.
Okay, well, we could nominate Eugene.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll nominate Eugene.
I don't know whether he wants to go or not, I have no idea.
That's a good one.
What about Pat Aubrey-Maskell?
Yeah.
She actually is resident.
Yeah, she is.
She has done a lot.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Whether she is fit enough, I'm not sure.
Yes, but she is someone.
We can certainly ask her. I could ask her, yes.
Well, then the form needs completing though. So if you're going to nominate Pat, if you're going to nominate her, needs to fill in the form.
Right, okay.
And return it by 23rd of January, and I can forward you the form if whoever's going to.
Well, would you be happy to delegate that to me or to yourself?
Yes. We can have a talk. I'm not quite sure the dates and specifics and what have you.
Right, so
do we only put one then forward?
Yeah.
So do we need to
it goes into
I need to vote. So you're proposing Pat, seconder? Yeah. Vote.
Yeah, I think you've got Eugene.
Yeah, right, one, sorry, those for Pat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are you not 10? It's not everyone. Against?
I don't know.
You're no. No vote.
I think Ray put his hands a bit late.
Okay.
Put his hands.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did get one. Hold on, I haven't done. So I've got 10
I
for.
won't vote for an abstaining. I just have to.
Just vote against it, disagree.
Vote again. So you're. So you don't know, and you're sorry.
I'm against.
You. You're a no,
I'd like
and
to
I do
propose
use
Eugene in case anybody wants to vote him.
Okay.
Right, so a seconder for Beck proposing Eugene.
He has been before.
Has he?
No.
I don't think he'd go.
Yes, but no.
It's going to be a stitch.
Right.
The chances of you actually getting it are pretty, the nominee actually getting it are pretty seldom.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee.
It's about Pat and whether she was right.
Yes.
I think we voted overwhelmingly in favour of Pat, but as a backup, if she feels she couldn't go, then how about you?
Okay, yes, I'll be happy to go with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we need another vote for that?
Yeah, Rebecca, right, hold on.
Okay, so.
Right, Eugene. So sorry, you're proposing that, Tony?
Well, as a backup for Pat.
Okay, so.
That was an alternative.
No, that's
that,
fine. Yeah,
then I'll
you'll
second
second that. Thank you, Beck. Right, all those in favour?
Okay.
Thank you. You got there in the end.
So,
As a backup plan, that seems perfectly reasonable.
community awards nominations.
Sorry?
Community awards nominations. 181.
And you have to pay for it, so I sent it out again today. We want to do that. Whoever you nominate, you need to complete the form.
Do we have any nominees?
I'd like to suggest that the parish council nominate Rob Grayson as parish councillor for the year for his work on the Christmas fair.
Okay.
Because it would be very good to have a parish councillor of the year who's under 50. Let alone under 30.
What a game of that!
I would second that.
I mean, I will nominate him personally, but if we're parish council going to make any nominations, I think.
Yes.
I think he's made an amazing start, and I think it's incredibly noble of him to volunteer to write up meetings.
He did an extraordinarily good job of the Christmas fair.
He did.
That was quite a tricky job to pick up.
It was, I know. All those
just before we do, I think one of the weaknesses of some nominations from parish council is that they've done a lot, but they haven't been written up very well. So I fully support Rob, but I think we need to make a really good case for him.
That's partly because the form that you have to fill in is extremely long and extremely badly designed. It's an incredible faff to fill it in, and I filled it in for some amazing people in the past, and we've got nowhere, and I'm afraid I feel rather disenchanted with the whole business.
Well, I know one or two other parish councils who've nominated people who have done a lot, and they've just written just a few lines about them, and it just really hasn't carried
We've done it in the past, written essays
to do a good case.
Well, I'll do that on behalf of the parish council, and I'll do it on my behalf.
I've already also those actually, so all those in favour of that.
Well, that is part of the... Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yes, I'm fine, yeah.
So all those in favour?
Yeah.
Right, so that's unanimous. Purchase of replacement high visibility jackets to scouts.
Might have to declare an interest in that.
Yes.
Well, I'll just put that in now.
Could you perhaps
basically, they kindly lend us the...
Every year I lend various things and get you on the Wednesday prior to the bonfire night and then collect them on the Tuesday. And after all this year, when I ask, the Sunburst tea, a tray of Ivor's jackets
has gone missing.
Have gone missing.
Yeah.
I've got everything else that we've loaned out.
I contacted the people that were up there, the school and the ATC and that, and I've asked them to double check, and they seem to have vanished.
And some of them even have scouts supplied by Rotary Club.
Yes, it just seems an extraordinary thing to go missing actually, because it's quite a large box. So there's a,
sorry,
I think we have a moral duty to replace them, so we're going
to replace the amount they want would be up to £100.
It's 86.83.
Okay.
The children's size, they aren't subjected to VAT, they're 219, we need 24. And then the adults is 12 because you need 1:2 ratio. And unfortunately they're 219 but they're subjected to a VAT. So it comes out at 86.83.
So basically,
Jo has got a copy of that, but I don't think we might take it through this afternoon.
If the parish council pays for that, do we have to pay VAT?
Well, no, you don't pay the VAT, you don't get that anyway. It's not a problem. I just feel as we were in possession of them.
Oh yes, no, I agree.
No, I mean every year we
Yes, I agree with that.
So we replace,
all those in favour of that expenditure?
Yeah.
11. And one abstention. Right, update by county councillors.
Okay, I've got three things. First of all, an email was sent to Joe, which was circulated to members. This is the 19th of December. It's about the turning back on the street lights overnight. And it simply clarifies the financial position as the county expects it. And that is basically that Sawston was one of those villages that did offer to agree to pay to keep the lights on, and so it says here the county council will fund all energy costings from the 13th of December. So that is from that once the decision was made. So that means what the parish will be billed for is the energy cost of the lights up to the 30th of December. So the money that we set aside for that, we won't need to call on all of it this financial year. And this is not going to come back next year at all. This is something that the county, I'm absolutely sure, will completely absorb itself financially next year. So that's the first.
And they're not only going to put them or pay for the energy, they're going to turn them up as well? Were you going to mention that?
Well, yes.
They were going to turn them down, weren't they?
Yeah, basically what was happening, the original thing was that the lights were turned down to 60% of their power from a certain time. And then, following on from that, they decided to turn the lights off overnight, unless parishes agreed. But also, and this was a point that a lot of people hadn't picked up, to turn the lights down further from 60% to 40% of illumination. And that's really when it became very visible. So, yeah, the decision was to reinstate the nighttime lights and to turn all the lights up to 100%. So it's the two bits. Anyway, so what I'm saying is this is in terms of financial contribution to the parish council, the money that we've set aside we won't need to spend all of it because from the 13th of December.
I'd remind members that doesn't affect the 104 footpath lights which are forming a responsibility of the district council.
No, the district council is completely separate.
So just so that the words still there.
Can you just confirm when they're on, David, those 104?
They're on all night. It's not technically possible to turn them off in the way that you could with the new county lights. I mean, you have to go around and physically turn each one off.
Yeah, the county's got a central management system, so basically it's a switch at Shire Hall can turn all the lights off or program the lights at a certain time.
I mean, the footpath lighting, the old type, which just work on 30 sensors.
Okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing was about winter gritting. We decided to reinstate winter gritting back to the full programme we had before. There was a slight problem that which we were aware of at the time, and that is we needed to get additional gritters and to get additional drivers in place. And it was stated at the time that would take a few weeks. I'm pleased to be able to tell you there ought to be an email going out later this week to Joe and other parish clerks in the city and South County. All Brittings were reinstated as of midday Friday the 13th of January.
What do you need gritters if you were reinstating it to what it was before? Have you already sold some of them?
Well, we released them, but yeah, so this office had released as many. Because the routing was going to be reduced from about 42% of all roads gritted to about 30%. So we didn't need so many bridges to cover that.
It does seem as though a lot of energy is being wasted in cancelling things and reducing things and then having to put them back again because actually it wasn't a very practical idea.
Well, we've got to the right decision at the end. Yes, it's been a torturous and not the county's finest man. But you've got what I think is an appropriate situation.
Just in time for the Arctic blast on Friday.
Yes.
Anyway, so
can I just on top of that, Steve Kant responded to the question that I asked at that meeting that I mentioned earlier, because I asked a specific question that's still unanswered, and I think the answer is no, we haven't done any risk assessment before we reduce the service, the gritting outside the village college. And I found that really quite disappointing.
Dangerous.
Well, I mean, clearly the risk of not gritting has increased the risk of accidents in a vulnerable space. And it just seemed to me disappointing that the officers hadn't offered it and it hadn't been asked of them. So,
it's not disappointing, it seems stupid that you wouldn't realise that the reduction of gritting increases the danger.
Yeah, but the gritting hasn't engaged with certain routes to schools at all.
No, and that was Steve Kant's response was we never took school routes into account when deciding where to do gritting.
Anyway, so back to where we were, and say from midday on Friday this week, so hopefully I'll be just in time.
Okay.
And the third thing is that although they're a little later than promised, that work was done on the cycleway between Sawston and the bypass.
Yes.
The etching's been
I
done.
know it wasn't done until about a week before Christmas, but
We did have a complaint, is that edging's been done and they've just chucked all the... They've just chucked it on the side. It looks a mess. They've not taken any of it away, chucked it half in, it's finished. Yeah, there's piles. If you go up there, they've not taken any of it away. It's all been left in piles.
They took
All up.
loads away. There was so much dirt there.
I think it looks, well, it looks untidy. 'Cause if you go up there now, I have had a complaint about it, because I was going to speak to you about it.
Well, I had one complaint about it. We went back to Mike Davies, who's the cycleway officer, and he put the people to take off. Well, they sort of locked it away. There was a tremendous amount of it.
So they left it so long to maintain? So have we made a formal request for it?
So I'll take some pictures and I'll forward them on to you or to Mike.
It's why some of these cost-saving exercises are so costly in the long term, because you get short-term gain and then just increase the cost later.
Let's save a penny and spend a fiver.
Yeah, exactly. Penny wise, pound foolish.
And Ray's just asked about Bagram Road.
Yes.
I've seen the work schedule for the first half of January. There's no further work scheduled there.
Well, it seems a little odd because there was a sort of burst in activity which has dropped curves and then nothing happened.
Well, it's really nice comes on either side.
Yeah, I presume they're waiting for UK power networks.
Well, yes, I recall when they did the one down by the health centre, there was a problem with ordering these special lamp posts with Alicia beacons attached to them. So is that an issue or not? Anyway, so anything you can do to speed that along would be very helpful because
I thought it was all going to be completed by Christmas.
Well, we all did.
They did say what Christmas? Remember that one?
Sorry.
On the cycleways question, do you want to report, am I right, that the Bagram cycleway is opening soon?
Yes, it's virtually completed. They actually were expecting to finish that one by, this is the one through the Bagram campus.
Oh yes,
from the roundabout on the 13th of October round to the close. They were expecting to finish it by the end of January. But because the winter was pretty mild, they actually were well ahead of schedule. So it's virtually all complete. It's just a little bit right where it comes into the close that they've still got to complete. And that's it.
Excellent. What's the other one you're talking about with the 20th? There's an opening ceremony.
Yes, 3rd of February.
3rd of February.
The 4th actually, they're organising a ride from Sawston.
It's good because it joins up Wandlebury.
Yes.
Admittedly a long way around, but because you can now get from Sawston to Bagram to the roundabout and then safely across onto the cycleway on the other side of the 1307, you can now get to Wandlebury safely.
And it was, the Bagram Institute have been very supportive with the council in getting that done. It's very
Yes, indeed.
One of the issues was about getting the legal agreement with their own campus. But it started out much safer than putting it right alongside the thing.
Right, so any other items you want to mention? Right.
I'm on the General Purposes Committee and then the source of what comes within the General Purposes Committee. So I just kept an eye on making sure all the finances are in place.
Okay.
So having really supported the application tonight, the finances are in place ready to go.
So, right, we now move on to the councillors' issues and I'll go through the table So,
Mike, just one issue. The cycleway being cleared, Tony. Foraging amongst my email, I found that it was going to be built up to stop the water. Is that still going ahead?
I've heard something from Brian Heffernan to that effect,
Yeah, it was Brian involved. And now they've cut it all out, that's left about 4 inches of edge,
Yeah.
either side of that sideway.
Yeah. What Brian, this is Brian Heffernan, who's to do with water management. Yeah, what Brian was saying, get the drainage sorted out at the bottom of the hill and then do that will then build it up.
So we're not going to get that sorted out until the water's gone across the Deal Farm.
Well, I thought the last email from Brian was circulated around the parish council, which was before Christmas.
That's what I found in my emails.
Sent it to you the long one.
Roger.
Yeah, how do we get that now? I just want to say.
Just what's what's in your
That's
house.
all that, so what do we need it twice? Just waste of time, bloody money and everything.
To make sure you look at it. Yes, to make sure.
People can't just study that.
Make sure you raise all the papers.
Could you put that message at the top of the second sheet? So to say the whole piece of paper.
Well, bother that, it's all down here anyway.
Well, it's,
You don't really need that.
I thought it was helpful. Also, maybe people to check there's nothing in their downstairs access or anyway. Right,
Pat check.
Mention the rail user group. I'll forward that to. I'll get that and forward that to everybody. Obviously, it opens anybody that's interested. Kieran and I did work on IT and communications system audit with the clerks. And we've now got a reasonable inventory and understanding of what's going on. We're going to work on things like password management. I have to mention password management.
Yeah.
And so that's work in progress. And then I've got a question about the power cable to Granta Park, because that's come up again. They did an early morning.
It's done at night and during the day.
Yes, but that was a survey, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I understand that there is a cable destined for Granta Park that's going to go through the village. And I just wonder if nobody's aware of the detail of that, can we ask the park to ask Power Networks what the situation is?
Yes.
And get an update?
Was it Power Networks asking what is there any cable to Granta Park from where?
Well, I'm not sure where it's coming from.
You got some info from them before
Oh, is
Christmas.
this the one that the one down your road?
Yeah, we want some info about the survey they were doing. We want to know what their next
So
plan
just
is.
what's an update on it? Get an update.
Yes.
This is the 11th house report.
Risk to Power Networks in Sawston, power or internet connections or whatever in Sawston in doing that work.
Well, I think that's what we'd like to know.
Yeah, that's what
so that we're aware. Thank you.
Where's the
I'll take the fifth.
That's what I don't know.
That's what we would find.
Yeah, I don't know.
I said I'll take the fifth.
Okay. Don't know what that means under the Trump settlement.
I was going to say no, but in the light of what's been said about these two documents, couldn't we simply on this one, where we've got a document,
Just
or
put it
copy
closed,
enclosed, or copy
Yes, that would be.
then you say like there's one piece in that.
Quite a time and effort.
And ink.
Here.
I don't have anything about it.
Two things. By the Memorial, the taxi firm seemed to park just off the High Street.
Yes.
And when you come up from Church Lane,
It completely blocks your view.
it blocks your view.
Yes.
Something ought to be done about it because it is quite dangerous.
It is down here.
There have been reports of this.
They park there several times throughout the day.
I've lost count how many times I've reported it to the police.
And then the next thing, since the 19th of December, car parking in Church Lane, when they're on the opposite side to the cemetery, the other side, you would not have got an ambulance or a dust cart. That happened on 4
When
occasions.
you say cemetery, what do you mean?
Church Lane. There's 3 or 4 vehicles parked on the bungalow side.
Yes.
Right? They park there, which is opposite the churchyard.
That's right, yes.
And then you get people that park all the way down, but where the last 2 cars are, there's not enough space to get down. We should do something about it, even if it's all full yellow lines on one side. It's your estate and your estate.
I know.
Obviously, you would not be able to get
I know,
an ambulance
and
down.
it is, I mean, as well as it being danger in terms of access of emergency vehicles. It's also quite dangerous because a car user can start off going down halfway down and meet a car coming the other way because they can't see, and people don't give way sensibly, they don't nip into the gap if they find a gap. I think the problem is it's either when you've say got a coach trip from the end of the road, when people park down Church Lane for the whole day and they don't park sensibly presumably, and the other issues is if there is a big event in either the community hall or sometimes in the church, if there's a big wedding
Would it be
or
better
big funeral,
to have the
for
yellow lines
example.
on one side, probably on the bungalow side, because then you could at least go on the other? Because the bungalows have got the drive, they can get their cars off.
But my understanding of the highway code is that you shouldn't park where you're going to obstruct traffic anyway. People just can't be bothered to park somewhere else on the estate, like down St Mary's Road or...
But if I drive down there into Mary's
further
Park,
down
I've got to
Church
move
Lane,
the wind
they
mirrors
just can't be
in,
bothered,
because I can't get through.
Yeah.
Well, there's also an issue at various times of year with farm in terms of access up there. There's certainly not...
They wouldn't be able to get down, but that's the 4 occasions that I've noticed.
I mean, I agree with you. I've noticed it a lot.
Yes.
And it's people not being sensible about parking.
Do we want to... suggest that, so we can't really...
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. Colin?
No, nothing else.
Vic?
Oh, yes, me, yes. 2 things very quickly. The triangle on St Mary's Road, which we've had lots of dispute over who owns it, has now been cleared by neighbours, i.e. Mike Redshaw and my husband been out there. And Mike Redshaw has planted a whole load of bulbs, so that should look a lot better. So it'd be nice if perhaps other people in Sawston take that lead and do the same. So that's that thing. And the second thing is I'm still reporting on the website fly tipping, graffiti on the garage near the High Street, and litter on the 505. I've noticed, I mean recently, again, litter.
Yes, you can report that to
Yes, I do it on the website, so again I'd encourage other people to do that as well. This morning there was a huge lump of wood on the 505 and we'll go through. Anyway, so they were my 2 items. Thank you.
A couple of things. The Princess Drive ongoing saga as to whether to be resurfaced or not. I'm getting a bit sick and tired of people coming to me and asking when it's going to be done. If we can have a chat with someone, or go and have a chat with someone, point me in the direction and I'll go and see him. Regarding Sawston, around Green Road, there's somebody throwing green heat into a green area, where the bush area is.
Sorry, London Road.
Green Road?
Yeah, whereabouts? Oh, well, not the bit opposite where that, on the corner where the trees are and that.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We can get that cleared up. That'd be really good. The other one is on the demolition that we already have there, when are they actually going to replace the anti-skid service that was taken off when they relayed the road? It hasn't been done yet. So that needs to be looked at as well. And there was one other, and it's gone all out of my head. What was the other? I can't think.
The housing crisis.
No, that's right. We got that.
I just right, finish. Just pointing out that South Cambs runs a housing money advisory service, which is now being done in conjunction with Huntington's Charity at their offices in the High Street, any offices. And they're fortnightly. They run from 10 to 1. And the first one is 12th this week, 26th of January, 9th, 23rd of February, 9th and 23rd of March.
That's not really the High Street, was it?
It is the High Street, it's still a High Street, that yes.
I thought it was London Road.
It runs London Road just a little bit further along, I think. Okay. Anyway, it's 189 High Street is the address. CB22 3HJ if you want to check it.
I'll go by it.
Okay. Yes, I just announced that. There is a poster available, which I'll pass to Joe. For display them, forget it. Okay, that's all. Right, we now have to go very briefly into closed session in order to approve the minutes.